Alright, so this is going to be the Inquisitor tutorial. 61 Inquisitor, 5 Defiler, 10 Kabbalist is the best setup that I have right now. The buffs are going to be your Spiritual Scrutiny, Armor of Awakening, Shroud of Agony, Rage of Blight, and Blighted Greed you're going to need to cast on the tank or the Defiler, because it does more damage if it's on somebody taking damage. Rotation's pretty simple if you abuse Karul alerts. Other than that, is dot juggling. I have a few macros that I use somewhere in here. I kind of have too many. Yeah, so this one, Fanaticism and Bolt of Depravity, and then I personally use my Nasirs and Bolt of Judgment in their own. Reason being, I like to see my Nasirs more than having it off to the side, and that way I can have my Bolt of Depravity, which is one of my main spam abilities, going all the time, and I just need to shift cast it to get my Nasirs to go when that's ready. Other than that, you have the Sanctioned Heretic and Bolt of Retribution, Marrow Harvest macro here. So, as you can see on my bar here, it's just those three. The rotation itself is quite simple. There are many ways you can go about it. I personally am an advocate of starting out with a nice crit and Nasirs here, and resetting it and doing the same thing over again, just because initial damage is pretty big on a parse. But then the next thing you do is you need to build up your multiple stacks of your dots. You'll see that my Karul alert there said to hit F. F is what I have that one macro set up to. So all it does for me is just kind of guide me through the rotation. When those ones fell off, I refreshed the dots, and when the F Karul alert pops up, I hit it, and then when the glowy light here goes, I know that I need to get my other things going. I'm not eloquent at all right now, but as you can see here, it's very much so just following a tutorial. It's kind of ridiculous. The big thing to know about Inquisitor DPS is that you don't want to refresh those dots until they've practically fallen off, except for darkness here, dark water. Reason being, it's a multiple stack. I got 3 of them there. The spells do have travel time, so you can't refresh it instantly from range. You need to make sure that you send it out with a few seconds to get there. This is not a perfect parse because I'm kind of rambling, but as you can see, I'm pulling quite a bit of damage here. Much more if I'm actually paying attention. So that should have been enough of that nonsense so you can see kind of the flow. So the dots that I was keeping up are Course of Discord, which some people will say you don't even need to bother keeping up, but I don't really care. It's just an extra dot. Scourge and Vex are good, but your main one is Dark Water, if you can maintain the 3 stacks. Nasirs is going to be huge, but it's the channeled ability. And with these 2 buttons, I'm going back and forth of the Bolt of Depravity and Bolt of Retribution. And then Radical Coalescence is the reset. It's very important you don't forget to use that. Judicial Privilege here adds 5 stacks, and each stack is 10% movement speed. So it's kind of a nice thing for mechanics if you know something weird's coming up. I do have a few extra abilities on here for like PvP and the like, that you're welcome to use knockbacks and immunities to fear, but those will not be useful in PvE. Soul Drain here is a good AoE. Aggressive Renewal is good for some mana regen, but I've never really ran out of mana in the middle of a fight. Spiritual Deficiency here is a debuff that's good if you're like by yourself, but in a raid format you'll never use it, so it doesn't really matter if you have it on your bar or not. Confound here is your interrupt, very important that you have that handy. And then the next important one is your purge. A lot of mechanics call for purges. I personally highly recommend getting your purge into a macro with a at focus. The reason that's good is I can focus target this dummy here, and I can be over here attacking this guy, but when I hit my purge, it'll shoot the raid boss instead of the trash guy over here. So that way, if you ever have to change targets, you can still purge the one that's important. Yeah, you have lots of abilities in this that are cool, but your main rotation is going to be pretty simple if you follow the cruel alerts that I'll happily set you up with. So, any questions, feel free to ask.